So here's the updated chat with graph web interface. This web interface is completely generic. It will work with any application that's created with Concerto Graph. I'm just going to walk you through running some of these queries. There's about 5,000 movies or so from IMDb in the knowledge graph, along with about 80 actors that are related to those movies. So let's start simple. How many people are in the database? So I'm going to start with that as my chat question. And submit that. It's a little slow right now. I've not done any work on streaming responses or anything like that. So yeah, what we see is the question that was posed, and then we see the tool requests that are coming out of OpenAI, the LLM that's backing this, and then the tool responses. So the first tool request is a chat with data request, and the query string is how many people are in the database. The chat with data tool is the most generic tool that the LLM has access to, and it can convert a natural language query, like how many people are in the database, into a Neo4j cipher query. And we see the cipher query that was generated in green here. So the LLM determined that it should run with the chat with data tool. It requested that the tool run. We ran the tool, and we got back that there are 79 people in the database. And the tool was essentially executing this generated cipher query. So that's pretty awesome. It means that we can really trust this number 79 because it represents the result of running a cipher query. So there's no possibility for hallucination in this response. We really are just querying the underlying graph database. So let's try a different query now. What year was Eva Green born? And we'll see what the LLM decides to do with it. Remember, the LLM is the one that's responsible for orchestration and deciding which tools it wants to run. So you don't always get the same results. Part of the challenge and beauty of these kinds of approaches. So we can actually see that it requests that two different tools run. So I'll just walk you through those. The first tool request is it does a full text search over all the people using the search string Eva Green. So it's basically trying to find a person with the name Eva Green, and it gets back this identifier, this node NM120000692, with a very high confidence score that the search string Eva Green matches this node. So it's found a node in the graph that has the name Eva Green. That's great. And then it follows up with a second tool request, which is get person by ID with the name NM120000692. So basically what this tool request is doing is pulling back all of the properties of a person by ID. And we see the response here. We can see that the birth year property on this node is 1980. The primary profession properties are actress, producer, soundtrack. The name is Eva Green, etc. And then it takes this tool response and it converts it into natural language for display to the user. Eva Green was born in 1980. So again, I think we have very high degree of confidence in this answer because we can see the the underlying graph queries that were made that came up with this answer. That's great. Now I'm going to reset, just it's getting a little long, so I'm going to clear the message history. So let's try this one. What is the shortest path from Eva Green to Kevin Bacon? This one's taking a little longer. Um, yeah, so excellent. We see that a query was generated. So it decided that a cipher query was the best way of answering this question, and it's doing a match over a person with the name Eva Green and a person with the name Kevin Bacon, and then it's finding the shortest path between those two people using any number of related to relationships. That's going to give us back an array, which is then converted into text by the LLM for display. So Eva Green was in the movie Dark Shadows with Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp was in the short film Close Up with Leonardo DiCaprio. Leonardo DiCaprio was in the short film Femme Fatale, Sharon Stone, with Kevin Bacon. So that's how the shortest path between those two people using relationships to movies. So again, I think we can have pretty high confidence in this result. We can see how it was grounded into a query over the knowledge graph. Now let's try this one. Who directed both Johnny Depp and Jonathan Pryce, but not necessarily in the same movie? Let's copy that. This one is pretty variable. I've seen it take a couple of approaches to answering this. So I'll be curious to see what it does. Okay, interesting. Yes. So yeah, this is really Let's walk through this. This could be one I've not seen before. So the first thing it does is it does the full text search over all the people to find Johnny Depp and Jonathan Pryce. So two tool requests, one for Johnny Depp, one for Jonathan Pryce, and we get tool responses, one for Johnny Depp with this node ID and one for Jonathan Pryce with this node ID, and then it pulls back all of the details that we have for each of those people using getPersonById as we saw before. So these are all Johnny Depp's details. And then it attempts to run this chat with data query, which directors worked with both Johnny Depp and Jonathan Pryce, not necessarily in the same movie, and it generated this cipher statement, which is attempting to match people via this has profession relationship, and I think that is where things go off the rails. I'm not quite sure exactly why this query didn't return any results, but the tool response was empty from this chat with data tool request. So then it says it appears there's no readily available information in our database that directly answers the question. However, based on general knowledge, notable directors who have worked with both actors include Terry Gilliam and Tim Burton. So this answer, we should really have much less confidence in. It didn't find the data in the knowledge graph. It is actually there. I think there's probably a bug in the cipher query that was generated. So it's then essentially, relying on its training, on its world knowledge, to give us these two potential directors. Though this is not grounded in the knowledge graph. So I think that's pretty interesting. It's kind of like we should have less confidence in this answer, potentially. Let's reset that. Let's try, is Leonardo DiCaprio old enough to be Margot Robbie's father? I quite like this one because it's a sort of a mixture of structured information and information about the world. Common sense, perhaps, that you wouldn't typically encode in the knowledge graph. So let's see which tools get used, if any. So we do the usual thing. We try and find a node for Leonardo DiCaprio and a node for Margot Robbie. that succeeds. We can pull back their data. So here we see the structured data for Leonardo DiCaprio, including his birth year, and the structured data for Margot Robbie, including her birth year. And then the result is verbalized. So Leonardo DiCaprio was born in 1974, Margot Robbie was born in 1990. This gives them an age difference of 16 years. I didn't ask it to calculate the age difference. This is something GPT-4 determined was appropriate. And then it interprets that 16-year age gap. Biologically, while it's not common, it is possible for someone as young as 16 to father a child. Therefore, Leonardo DiCaprio is old enough to be Robbie's father, although it is unlikely in a rare situation, which I think is, it's pretty much spot on. It's hard to fault that answer, and it's also, reassuring to see that the information about the birth years was grounded in the knowledge graph. It wasn't just pulled out of the training set. So I think a nice answer. Highest rated movie about the theme of natural disasters released after 2000. This is an interesting query because it does a few things. It's talking about the theme of a movie, so I'd expect some sort of similarity search, over the plot summary. And then it's incorporating this filter after 2000, and then it's doing some ordering by rating, highest rated. So it used the chat with data query, that's good, and it converted it into this cipher query. So it's matching over movies where the start year is after 2000, and then it's getting the vector similarity for the movie summary, and it pulls back Only the Brave as the highest rated movie over 2000 that has that similar theme of a movie about natural disasters. So yeah, it did a pretty fantastic job. I think it did a single query that incorporated both the movie summary vector index and then the after year 2000 predicate. Let's just confirm that that movie really is about natural disasters. So get the plot summary for the movie. And I'm using the movie, right, just to show off a little bit of the conversational context that we have. So it gets movie by ID, it finds it, and then it just displays the plot summary. What do we see here? So it's a fire disaster movie. So it meets the criteria. It's about a natural disaster. And yeah, it was... When was it released? It was released in 2017. And it has an average rating of 7.6. So yeah, nice job. Let's reset that. Let's try something else. What is a movie set in the capital of France? Let's see how it deals with this. I've seen a couple of ways of it resolving this. Sometimes it will, from world knowledge, know that the capital of France is Paris, and it will just do a structured query for Paris. Other times it will do a similarity search. So in this case it generated a cipher query from the string movie set in the capital of France. And the cipher query is find a movie looking at the movie summary for the string movie set in the capital of France. So maybe not perfect, but it works. So the affair of the necklace um, got pulled back. Marie Antoinette got pulled back. The Man in the Iron Mask got pulled back, and then the LLM did a decent job of wrapping that in some descriptive text. So yeah, a pretty good um, query plan, I would say, though not perfect. List 5 movie titles and ratings released in 2018 with more than 5,000 votes ordered by rating. This is a very structured query. Let's see how it resolves it. It immediately goes to the chat with data, passing the query string, and it generates this cipher. So it's matching over movies where the start year is after 2018. The number of votes is more than 5,000, and then it's returning those nodes ordered by the average rating and in descending order and taking 5. So I think that's pretty much spot on. It gets back 5 movies that then get converted to text by the LLM. So I think good job. Completely grounded in the knowledge graph. It understood the intent of this query, and it was able to convert it into cipher, pretty much as a human would have written. Films about the Holocaust. So clearly a very thematic query. You'd be expecting it to look at the plot summaries, the movie summaries, and doing some sort of similarity search to answer this question. So it generated cipher. It's matching a movie, and then it's looking at the similarity of the movie summary with this string films about the Holocaust, and it pulls back 3 of them. Forbidden, which appears to be about the Holocaust. It even does a sort of a summary of the plot summary. Ship of Fools, similarly, certainly set in Nazi-controlled Germany. And Evil Angels, which is certainly along those same themes. So did a good job. Found some movies that certainly appear initially to be about the Holocaust. And now let's do a really very open-ended one. Recommend a movie in the database that is suitable for a 10-year-old boy that loves space, the stars, and telescopes. This one's interesting because there's not too much for it to go on in the graph to answer this question. It can obviously do thematic searches over the plot summaries, perhaps over these themes, space, the stars, and telescopes. But whether it's suitable or not for a 10-year-old boy, there isn't a whole lot of information in the graph that can guide it. So I'd expect it to perhaps make some queries, but it's going to have to also rely on its world knowledge quite a bit. Okay, so it requested chat with data and it generated a cipher query. So it's pulling back movies that are similar to the string recommend a movie for a 10-year-old boy that loves space, stars, and telescopes. It's not ideal, right? Because it's got this recommend a movie for a 10-year-old boy, but it's not horrible either. And it pulls back Hugo, which was released in 2011. It's 1931. A 12-year-old Hugo Cabret lives in Paris with his father. And then it does an interpretation of why it thinks it would be a good movie. It's about adventure and exploration. It's connected to film and invention, and it's engaging and family friendly. And then it has some sort of sensible recommendations: watch the trailer, read more reviews. Um, so it certainly seems like a plausible answer. Um, but yeah, it's not super grounded in the knowledge graph. I mean, it found this movie in the knowledge graph by doing a similarity search using this string. Uh, you know, I guess it worked with what it had. Would be the kind way of interpreting it. Um, and I'll stop there. I hope that was useful. This allowing the LLM to do the orchestration and providing it with some tools, I think is super exciting and promising. And you can get a little bit meta by asking it, what tools do you have registered? And it should tell us which tools were automatically registered, based on the data model for this graph. So you can see we can get a person by ID, we can get a genre by ID, we can get a profession by ID, movie by ID. So these are all just the different types of nodes that we have in the graph. We can chat with data, which is the natural language decipher kind of generic tool. We can do a full text search over a person or a movie, because they have text properties that have been indexed for full text search. We can do a similarity search over a person's name or a movie summary, because those two concepts have had similarity indexes, vector indexes created for them. And then this mysterious 10th tool is one that must be provided by OpenAI. It wasn't defined by us, but it allows multiple tools to be executed in parallel. A little peek under the hood. So thank you very much.